Hi there and welcome. Today we are excited to introduce the new Model Builder, a tool that lets you create complete valuation models without writing a single line of code. So here right now is an example model built entirely through the interface. The future PE valuation example, which is what we are going to build today. And you can actually find this under Models, Examples, and it's here along with several other templates. So now, once we have that selected, let's go ahead and switch to the Code tab. Behind the scenes, the Model Builder automatically generates the full Python code needed to run your model. You don't need to touch it. But if you want to, you can open the editor anytime from the Actions menu here. But for now, let's go ahead and start a brand new model by clicking on New Model. Then we'll begin by adding a table. So we'll go to Browse Components. Then we'll click on Add next to the table. Once we have that table added, I'm going to select it on the left-hand side. Then on the right-hand side, I'm going to change the name from Table 1 to say Historical Data instead. Now let's add net income to the visible keys. So now we're going to click on Add View Key. And a time series key represents historical values across multiple dates, while a single point key represents one value applied to a specific date. For this case, I'm going to go with a time series key. Next, we're going to click on Browse. And inside of the search box at the top, we are going to search for net income. We can see it here, so we're going to go ahead and select it. Then once selected, we're going to click on Save. And then finally, at the bottom right, we are going to click on Apply to apply our changes. Next, let's calculate a net margin value that we can use throughout the model. To do that, we're going to go inside of the Compute tab at the top right. Then we're going to click on Add Computed Key. For the key title, we are going to enter net margin. And for the type, we are going to select a percentage. Now, you'll notice that the tool creates a key called %% net margin, which is what we're going to be using inside of our formulas. Now, let's go ahead and build our formula. What we're going to do is we are going to click on Keys underneath Browse. Then we're going to click on Browse once again. We're going to search for net income once again. And then we're going to select net income from here. Then we're going to click on Save. And once we have that added, we now want to add the divide operator. So we're going to click on Operators here. Under Arithmetic, we're going to select the Division Divide option. And then we want to browse for Revenue. So again, we're going to go inside of Keys. We are then going to click on Browse. And this time, we're going to search for Revenue. And then we're going to select it from here. Then we're going to click on Save. And after that, the formula is now complete. So now we can click on Save. Now on the right-hand side, underneath the Compute tab, you'll see that net margin has appeared. We're going to go ahead and switch back to the View tab. And it also appears in the visible keys, so it now shows inside of our table. Now to adjust the table's date range, you want to go inside of your options at the top right. And by default, the table shows the last 5 years, controlled by the relative start index of -5. Let's change this to -3 and enable display averages. Then we're going to click on Apply. Now to visualize this in a chart, let's go ahead and duplicate this table. So to do that, on the left-hand side, we are going to click the little arrow to open this drop-down menu. Then we are going to click on Duplicate. Then on our brand new table that we just duplicated, we're going to click the arrow once again. And for this one, we are going to click on Convert to Chart. The chart uses the same keys and date range. And we can switch the chart style to bars and hide the LTM period. And to do that, on the right-hand side, we can go inside of Options. We can disable the LTM here by toggling this. Then underneath Display as Bars, we can select all three of these and then click on Apply. Once applied, we can see how that looks. For now, let's go ahead and hide this chart. And now let's go ahead and forecast revenue at a 10% annual growth rate for the next 3 years. So to do that, we are going to add a new table, go to Browse Components, and then add a new table. And let's go ahead and click on that. and let's rename it to say forecasted data, and then we're going to apply. Now to forecast revenue, we want to click on compute and add computed key. And then we want to click on forecast key on the right hand side. And then we want to click on browse time series data. Once we do that, we want to search for revenue. And then we want to click the revenue option here. Now we need last year's revenue. So we're going to click on keys, browse keys. We're going to search revenue once again, and then we're going to select revenue. Then on the offset, we're going to change this from 0 to -1. Then we're going to click on save. Now we want to come in here and we want to multiply this by 1 plus 10%. Once we have that entered, we're going to click on save. Then for the forecast years, we're going to set this to 3, and then we're going to click on apply. Now let's go ahead and display only the forecasted years by setting the star index to 1. So to do that, we're going to go inside of options. And then for the star index, we're going to change this to 1. Then we're going to click on apply. Next, let's forecast net income using a forecasted net margin assumption. So this time we're going to go inside of browse components on the left-hand side. And now we're going to add the assumption down here at the bottom. Once we have that added, I'm going to take assumptions, I'm going to click, I'm going to drag it, and I'm going to drop it right below historical data. Now we want to add a new assumption. So I'm going to make sure I have assumptions selected on the left-hand side. Then on the right-hand side, we are going to click on add assumption. For the key title, we are going to enter net margin, and the type is going to be percentage. And for our formula, we want this to be the 3-year average margin. So we're going to click on functions, and then we're going to browse functions, and then we're going to select average. Once we have that selected, we're going to click on browse data keys. Then we're going to search for net margin, and then we're going to select net margin here. And then we're going to set the start to be -3, and then click on save. And then save once again. Now let's project net income for each forecast year. To do that, we're going to go inside of the forecasted data on the left-hand side. Then we're going to go inside of the compute tab, and then add computed key. We're going to go back inside of the forecast key. Next, we're going to click on browse time series data. We're going to search for net income, and then we're going to click on net income from here. Now for our formula, we're going to go with revenue. So we're going to go inside of keys underneath browse. Then we're going to click on browse once again. This time we're going to search for revenue and then select revenue from here. Then we're going to click on save. And we want this multiplied by our net margin assumption. So then we're going to go inside of keys once again. This time we're going to change it from time series key to single point key. Then we're going to click on browse. And next we're going to select our net margin assumptions. Then we're going to click on save. And let's make sure that we are multiplying it as we can see here. Once we have that, we're going to go ahead and click on save. Next, let's go ahead and add 2 more assumptions. So we're going to go inside of the assumptions tab. Then we're going to click on add assumption. Now let's compute a present value per share. To do that, we need the results component. So this time we're going to go to browse components on the left-hand side, and then we're going to add a results component. Once we have that added, let's go ahead and click on it, and let's go ahead and rename it to present value calculations, and then click on apply. Once we have that applied, let's go ahead and go inside of the compute tab and add computed key. So now what I'll do is I will compute the future EPS to get the future share price, which will discount today. All right, so now that we've calculated the present value per share, we are ready to set the final value. To do that, we're going to add the final value component. So we're going to browse components at the top left-hand side once again. And this time, we're going to add the final value component. Once we have that added, we're going to go ahead and select it. Then we're going to click on Browse. We're going to change this to a single point key and then click on Browse once again. Then we're going to select the present value per share and click on Save. Once we have that selected, we're going to click on Apply at the bottom right. And now this final value allows us to reverse solve the model. So we can scroll down here, and underneath interactive assumptions, we can click on this more drop down, and then we can click on reverse solve. From here, we can select exit PE ratio and then click on solve. Now this adjusts the exit PE ratio so that the model's fair value equals the current market price. Let's go ahead and save our model by coming up here to the top. Inside of model name, you're going to enter your model name and then click on save. If you need help, you can always reach out on Discord or through our support page. And if this walkthrough helped you, please like the video and subscribe. Thanks for watching.